Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I am Kevin Joyce, CEO and head of brains at Tiny Brains, and with me I have Peter Graham, the brigadier of brains at Tiny Brains. Brains.
That is me indeed.
So, as always on this podcast, we're going to go through the top stories in the XR industry from the previous week, or at least what we think are the top stories. We're going to discuss them, and maybe one or two of you will want to talk to us in some point in the future about these items. Feel free to reach out to us any way you like. There are many different ways to communicate with us. And I'm sure Pete is going to put them all in the description below.
At some point, yeah.
Go ahead and reach out. We're going to dive straight in with the fact, honestly, having previously been a journalist, this is something that I grew to immensely hate. I'm sure Pete probably feels the same way. April Fool's Day. So obviously, in April Fool's Day, there were a lot of jokes around VR, and I ignored them all. So this is going to be fun. Pete, however, the comedian that he is, has been through lots and lots of them and chosen some for us to discuss.
I have indeed. Well, April Fool's landed on Monday, didn't it? The most favourite day for journalists to deal with stupid articles. Monday morning, oh my God, April Fool's. But there were some corkers in there. And my three favourites were the Virtual Boy Pro, Walkabout Mini Golf getting legs, and Pillow, you may remember, is a mixed reality app on Meta Quest, getting it a toilet mode. Yeah, so let's run down those. The Virtual Boy Pro. Yes, we all love the 90s Virtual Boy, don't we? So yes, Nintendo teamed up with IGN to create the Virtual Boy Pro video, which is sort of like teased a mixed reality where you would put the Switch with the Joy-Con controller still attached for some reason onto a headset right in front of your face, and you could race Mario across your countertop, or you'd shoot Koroks from Zelda in mixed reality. And it was a really highly high production value video, and it looked really good.
I'm going to dive right in on this one. Okay. Firstly, no offense to IGN, there are some wonderful writers there and so on, but I put this out on Twitter. I'm going to stand by it. If you are a mainstream, respected media outlet of any kind, you should not be doing an April Fool's joke. You are there to report on the news, not make it. Said my piece. I'm not. Said my piece. But as far as the story goes, yeah, okay, it was interesting, but that already exists. It wasn't that much of a leap of faith, right? You can already get a Google Cardboard, get a the Nintendo Labo cardboard,
Yes.
and experience VR with the Switch. So
Yes, but this was mixed reality, Kev. This
ah,
was this was the latest. This was going up against Vision Pro and Quest 3. But
nah,
yes, no.
I don't think that struck any real chords. Shame on you, IGN. Shame on you, Nintendo.
Then Walkabout Mini Golf, everyone's favorite mini golf game on like most VR headsets. They laughed at, yeah, we're going to stick legs in it. I mean, what does everybody need? A pair of avatars need legs. So, but they were straight out with it. You linked to a blog post and it literally said April Fools. So they didn't even try and extend the joke in any way, shape, or form.
At least they were, open about it, and it was fine. It wasn't one of these like, oh, we're going to reveal 3 days later that it was an April Fool's joke. Because I mean, to be frank, right, other than the name, walk about, what would you need legs for in that game?
Well, exactly. And last but not least, Pillow, everyone's favorite bedtime mixed reality game, I suppose, by Lucas Risotto. Yes, he decided that where else is comfortable to play mixed reality? On the loo. So yeah, it's you could play it on the loo. Well, that's the idea.
I mean, what's stopping you from doing that now?
Well, yeah, this had extra features though, I think.
What kind of extra features?
Go fishing in the toilet.
Sounds great. Yeah. I'm glad that one was an April Fool's joke.
Although
Okay,
with
so
Lucas, you never know.
well, true. Yeah, maybe that'll come out sooner rather than later in the end.
Exactly.
But moving on to actual real news, there is some. We have the Apple Vision Pro. Obviously, we've got Apple Vision Pro. We on this podcast, I think every week we've had Apple Vision Pro. So why break the trend? But this time we have Personas.
That sounds like a bit of hostility there, Mr. Kevin. But yes, so when Vision Pro first launched, the personas that people could sort of FaceTime with were flat 2D sort of virtual avatars. Now with Vision OS 1.1, you can get 3D spatial personas because everything is spatial with Apple, isn't it? So yes, it improves telepresence. A lot of people that have been using it have said yes, it works a lot better than the old 2D versions of people. You know, you get a nice sort of when people turning around, you actually get that nice 3D depth. But again, yes, it's just telepresence. So unless you're talking to a lot of people and doing a lot of meetings or socializing in your really expensive headsets, but it depends how much you're going to be using it, really.
Yes, I think it's a great addition and good technology for the future. But yeah, it's going to be limited right now. I myself am not in the Apple ecosystem, and I know Pete, you're not either.
No.
So the amount of use we will get out of personas is quite limited. But maybe you are deep in the Apple ecosystem and are finding ways to use personas on a daily basis. And if you are, fantastic, good for you. Welcome to XR. Um, but for the rest of us, we'll catch up. We'll catch up to you, trailblazers, in the near future. I'm sure.
Yeah, the probably the easiest way to use it if you're not using FaceTime at all is Resolution Games' Games Room, because it supports spatial personas in surround mode. So if you're playing chess, solitaire, any of those fun little games in game room, then you get to see it in action.
Which, frankly, in my opinion, with those kind of games, would have been wonderful about 3 years ago during COVID. Um, but now maybe there's less demand for that kind of social telepresence not mini games, but traditional games, not video games, basically is what I'm saying. Board game style activations. Um, but the fact that it's here now means it's here to stay, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's another step in the right direction, isn't it?
Sticking with the theme of games, but not board games, actual video games, we have some fantastic news from Fast Travel Games.
Yes, that's it. Fast Travel Games. Well, the Swedish media have reported that Travel Games has sold over 1 million units. Now they've got 12 games in their portfolio. They're a prolific VR developer, and well, I think we both thought that they'd probably already sold more than 1 million units, but it turns out they've sold 1 million games, and their revenue for 2023 was just under $8 million. So they're still doing well.
Yeah, so Fast Travel Games are actually a publisher as well, so not all the games in their catalog are theirs, but the lion's share are.
Yeah.
Now I can, as Pete said, I would have thought that they would have hit 1 million some time ago with their 12 titles, but we do have to take into account, of course, that some of their titles were very early in VR, the point when there was only tens of thousands of headsets available, and as we all know, once you've launched the game, your initial sales are the high point, and after that, it's only going to be diminishing. So things like um, Apex Construct, is that right? Am I remembering that correctly?
I believe so. Oh God, you're testing my
That's a long
memory.
time ago. But Apex Construct, which I believe I reviewed and said was very good at the time, I can't see them shifting thousands of units about week on week at the moment. I just don't think it's possible in VR as it stands. So yeah, maybe the lesser selling games, maybe they were early on, maybe they've hit a couple of blunders recently, but regardless, 1 million games is still a fantastic landmark. So well done, Fast Travel. Looking forward to seeing what you've got coming next, which is a lot.
Well, it is. Well, just a quick update on that. Recently, they released Vampire: The Masquerade Justice, which was very well received. And next up is VR multiplayer Mannequin. So lots to look forward to.
Yeah, I haven't played Justice yet, but as a on and off fan of the Vampire the Masquerade, I might give it a bash at some point.
I think you should. I definitely think you should.
Thanks for that. So now moving on, we still kind of gaming, kind of gaming, kind of gaming.
Still gaming.
We have Rezzil. Good old boys at Rezzil. Now, full disclosure on this, at Tiny Brains, we have worked with Rezzil in the past, but they have signed a huge deal, landmark deal for not just the company, but also for VR.
That's it. They've signed a deal with the British Premier League or English Premier League, what do you want to call it? So yes, it's a 4-year partnership. So Rezzil are best known for their Rezzil Player game on Quest and other platforms, where you can essentially train in to be a footballer. You can, save goals, kick goal, score goals, and all sorts of different training applications. And originally, Rezzil started this as a training application for footballers, and it sort of came into the consumer sphere. Now they've signed this new deal with the Premier League, so they're going to create a new game with the Premier League, which will see essentially put in the boots of some of the most famous players from the league. So
So
that'd be
is
cool
this
fun.
our first taste of FIFA VR?
Wow. Well, maybe. Well, maybe.
So FIFA or EA, is it EA Club or Football, whatever the most recent one was called? Um, they are huge, huge titles. More often than not, the latest edition of FIFA outsells Call of Duty.
Mm.
They are one of the series of games, including the last one, FC, EAFC 24. The FIFA games, and up until recently, FC 24, are some of the biggest selling games every single year, regardless of the fact that they are often just essentially just tidies up some reskins of the previous year. They do landmark new titles occasionally, but we all know what we're getting into when we buy a FIFA game. And the fact that they continuously, despite this fact that they are often, not always, but often just essentially reskins and touch-ups of the previous year, the fact that they continually sell as one of the biggest selling games of the year is incredible. And we haven't had anything like this yet in VR. Now, I'm not saying that Rezzil's game is going to be the same kind of thing where they do an annual update and I'm saying that it has the potential to draw millions of new people into VR. Millions of football fans, not just in the UK, but around the world, will be looking at this. We'll be looking at this thinking, oh, my favorite team are featured in a game that I can play football with. I think this has significant potential.
I completely agree, because while there has been over the years lots of big IP connections in VR, we've had film IPs and all sorts. This is slightly new. We have had Major League Baseball for the Americans, but this is, I would say, slightly even more universal, being football, and the Premier League is one of the most, if not the most famous league in the world. With the likes of Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and all the rest of them. You know,
Arsenal.
or Arsenal. uh, yeah, but having the chance to be able to, jump in, it depends how deep the sponsorship goes and which players will be available. But for all young soccer fans out there, being able to jump into the shoes of some of the greats will be an exceptional draw.
So we're going to move on because we are running out of time. So we're just going to wrap up by quickly saying there's a new VR game on the way, another port from consoles, which is Metal Hellsinger VR. My one statement on this is that I hope it fares better than Bloodstorm. Pete?
I've never played the original flat screen, but I'm hoping that it does a lot better in VR, because it's kind of like Pistol Whip but with heavy metal. So you've got pew 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 pew, but System of a Down or whatever.
It's like pow, 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 pow.
Yeah,
Yes, I believe Serge Tankian did do a track for it, the lead singer from System of a Down,
yeah.
who aren't in the metal sphere. But anyway, that's all we've got time for this week. So thank you very much for watching. And once again, feel free to reach out to us on any of the channels below. Always happy to talk about these or any other areas of XR because we love it.